Well, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are. This is Coquito, live Q&A. Normally, I would put hip hop music right now, and I'd be bumping and grinding and everything else. But now, let's take it down a notch. Let's listen to some nice classical music, while I give you the history of Luquillo, in my memory and in my knowledge. Disclaimer: if I say something's wrong, if I'm wrong exactly in time, which usually I'm not, please tell me down below. Let's enjoy, shall we? Please like, subscribe, and enjoy. And welcome. Gonna find it right here. The history of Luquillo, live Q&A. Now, obviously, I gotta promote myself. So give me a second here. If the music is louder than me, please tell me in the comments down below. Now, the history of Luquillo, to my knowledge, is gonna be based on between 92 and now. Between 1992 and now. This is what I remember of my knowledge, of my memory. I want to put that out there. In the 90s, the plaza wasn't all gray and boxed and no trees. It used to have beautiful trees there. Green, luscious trees that some of them are still alive. Some of them are still there. Some of them are still around in different parts of the town. Trees that are about 50 to 100 years old. And it's amazing. But due to history of mayors and corruption and bad planning, stuff happens. ¿Qué pasa, Blue Vega, Kiki? Having a time. Asking any question with the history of Luquillo. Any question you want, man. Have fun with this. In the plaza, every year, like WWE, they'll have like 6 to 8 to 10 events. El Festival de Coco, the Festival of the Coconut, El Festival de Tinglal, el Festival del Recursos, el Festival de Secretaria, el Festival de this, el Festival de that, and we would just have fun. Salsa singers, reggae, not all the time. Reggae really got popular around the 2010s when they started, like Cultura Profética and stuff like that used to come in. So that was pretty cool. Put up my game just a little bit more. But at that time, the 90s here was really bad for the fact of corruption of the governor, for the fact that there was gang wars between people that were only 200 to 300 feet away. That's how bad the gang wars was between one caserio and another caserio, which I'm not gonna say their names because I'm not gonna try to get in trouble even now. But the deaths piled up one after the other after the other. Hit that like, subscribe, and please share this so they want to ask any question of the history of Luquillo, please. But other than that, it was a good place here. I would wake up every morning, go to the school, which is not a school anymore. There used to be an elementary school near La Pared Beach. Just write that down. LAPARED Beach. It's a beautiful wall, but there used to be a school there. Sadly, in the 80s, a teacher got V'd and R'd because of who he loved. Yeah, that's how it was. But there were good people that grew up here. Doctors, lawyers, carpenters. Everybody here in my town grew up with the understanding that you had to have at least 3 professions. You had to at least know how to do cement and make a house. You had to know how to cook in case of emergencies, and you knew how to take care of yourself. Now, most of the time, because here is another little history lesson of Luquillo, alcohol here was very cheap. Even in the 90s, it was less than nothing. You can buy a beer for $2 back in the day. You could buy a cigarette for 50 cents. You can go and buy a tostada, which is just bread pressed down in a press with butter. Before panini was a thing, it's called tostada. For 35 cents, sometimes even a quarter if you were lucky. Sometimes the bread was old, but you never really cared. I hope you're enjoying the music in the background. Nice ambient music. I hope I don't get copyright for this, because this is just classical music. Well, you never know. Leave your question down below. Ask me anything about the town of Luquillo. I've been here all my life. We're in the 90s right now. Before the FBI raids, before the gang deaths, before the drive-bys, before the pizza places became pizza places. When there was a Burger King here. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a Burger King here in this town. Long time ago. It was never a established place, but it was in a place. It was in a place of a kind of like what do you call? I think they call those things that are in Kentucky or Louisiana that are really scared of tornadoes. Not trailers or RVs. They would put them in an RV, park it, and right there. There was a Church's Chicken here too. Where Amigo is, where Amigo used to be, now it's Pueblo. Used to be also the spot. 1 second. Allergies. That spot used to be for carnivals and festivals. We used to have a festival 3 times a year, and just cartwheel and the tilt-a-whirls and the cups and scary places and all the like. And it was awesome. I love that spot. There's a dark history to that too. Steven Dillebeck. Wow, bringing in the OGs. How developed were the kioscos when you were a kid? I have seen pics that were like huts. Okay. I'll answer that in a second, sir. What's up, KB Brown? Find me on Tuesday. Got a surprise for you, all right? With a nice little development. Now, to answer Stephen Dillebeck's question, who has a beautiful place in Puerto Rico. I'm not gonna say where it is for your safety. That was back in the 60s. Between the 40s and 50s, they were huts. Yes, that was true. But that was way back in the day. Once we figured out, and again, we were trained by Spain how to do construction, artistry, dental, everything. So we knew how to make houses. After we learned how to use cement, bars, and how to make it ourselves, we made the kioscos, as you saw right now, Mr. Stephen Dillebeck, that it's all cement. They were all made the exact same. Now, you know also as well, if you go to Loíza or Salina or Piñones, most of the kioscos are favored like huts, but they're not made out of straw. They're made out of metal and wood, and they make it more culturally. And that's really cool, and I like that. But now, yes, in the 90s, it was all blocks. There was never anything bigger or smaller than anything else. La Barrilla, the #1 kiosco, was never as fancy. They didn't have that thing in the back. There actually was 60, but Hurricane George passed by and destroyed a bunch of places, so they never got back from economically. And thus we have the 60s kioscos, but if you count them all, where they're all, the ones that are active, there's about maybe 40, 38 at best. Any more questions, leave them down below. Come on, keep bringing it to me. At the history of Luquillo, I'm at the 90s right now, talking about my town of the drug wars and the FBI's. Now, in 96, also, when the festival is next to the supermarket and the festival place that space of land that's right next to Walgreens, what people don't know, and this is something of Obra Publica's dirty secrets, but it doesn't really matter because everyone should know this. That land that you see that's next to Walgreens and right next to the auto parts place and right next to the what's now going to be Pueblo supermarket, that's filled with animals. When a dead animal used to die, horse, cow, pig, goat, duck, cat, dog, whatever the animal they may be, they would call obra publicas. Obra publicas realized we're not going to take the dead animal all the way back to our house and bury it there. That's ridiculous. But there's a plot of land that we know that we could just bury it and no one's using it. Thus, in one of my channels on Alex Coquito, find out in the playlist in story time, there's a story I call the Pet Cemetery. Right next to the bridge, Steven, you've seen that bridge right next to Walgreens. That plot of land, that's full of dead animals. I have personally helped the person put a dead animal in there. When someone thought it was a good idea when we picked it up, that's a good story time. When I was working with Obras Públicas or Public Works, someone called us in for a dead dog pickup. We went there. The smell was so bad, the owners thought, well, if you turn it on fire, the smell should go away. It doesn't work that way. What works is that we had to take a digger, lift up the burning dog, go down that hill, and go to the pet cemetery and dump him right there. I pass by there every day when I walk and do my daily exercises. The history of that place is sad, but it's beautiful too because at least it grows. You know for a fact that things grow there, even if it's all rocks. We also have our own dump here too. For example, in Luquillo, River Edge, when it was sold in the 90s, 2000s, that spot and I've talked about this on my channel as well. Check out my Storytime playlist and like and subscribe, whoever's here right now. Enjoy it. It's all filled with trash. That whole mountain of River Edge. And River Edge is right next to when you're going to the Yunque. For example, if you're going to the town of Luquillo and you get to the Y part of the road, one goes this way, one goes straight, and there's a big mountain up there of River Edge. It's called River Edge of houses. That's all top. That's all on top of trash. Top of trash. That's all it is. Fun fact. That used to be the cemetery. And the cemetery, they used to put the bodies like this. Not like this, but like this. Got a comment before I continue. 1 second. Oh, cool. H for Apache. What's up, Apache? Apache, what's up? Talking about the history of Luquillo. Any questions you have between 92 and now that I've seen, I will answer. Now, when they made the lot that's right next to Public Works, the office, they put all the bodies, all the cemetery things, all the coffins, they took them and transferred them over there. Kind of like Poltergeist. A little weird. So, because of the Poltergeist, I mean, I think it is. I hate that place. They left it with a kind of an empty land. During the 70s and 80s, they realized we can use this plot of land that was used for a cemetery, but we can use it for trash. So, and that's what they did for a long time. They just filled it up to a certain point, and when you fill up a trash dump to a certain point, it stops. We can't do it anymore. The EPA right now closed down multiple trash dumps because they violated a bunch of regulations, and people are scared about that because we had no place to put our trash. That's for another day. Shout out to ADA. You know who you are. Shout out to, you know who you are, the open one. Got a message. Give me 1 second. Good enjoy. Aw. I'll try my best too. Now, I'm in StreamYard. Now, during that time, the 90s, as I was saying, during the time of the carnivals, during the time of the festivals, gang wars were rampant. The cops would stop anybody that looked like a gangster or maleante, as people used to call over here. If you wore baggy pants, if you listened to Snoop Dogg, whatever, in the 90s, you were done. You were out. You were arrested or stopped and searched on the spot. I have been stopped and searched many a times. Obviously, during my time of life, I used to hang out with a lot of nefarious people. So looking back at it now, I kind of bring it on myself, which sucks. Now, on top of that, I'm going to bring this down just to get my face. There we go. On top of that, during the 90s, a lot of people died in my town. One person said it best when I was walking to the plaza one day and I had to spit. So I spat on the floor, and a woman was with their child. And the child, not really a child, like a teenager. The teenager had to spit too. So he spat on the floor. The woman said, "Don't do that because someone died right there. That's disrespectful." And then I remembered during the 90s when people used to walk home to the hood that's at the entrance of town, people used to catch them right there and shoot them up. There are stories of people losing their legs, people dying just going around the back to take a piss, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. During the 90s and 2000s, two whales, beached in our town. Both died. One died, actually, and one we pushed him back. But one died and just exploded and had so much plastic in them. It was just disgusting. There's a picture in Sandy Hills. If whoever gets an Airbnb there can get Sandy Hills. It's right there in the picture. East Tower. Some parts make me sad, too. When the elementary school got hit by Hurricane George, and the thieves ran rampant and stole everything in a day or two. During the hurricane, by the way. They were thieves during the hurricane. We're going to get to the story of when the hurricane destroyed Amigo, and everyone had fun. So when the Hurricane George destroyed the school, everyone said, okay, we can't save the school. We just found out as well that's filled with asbestos. We didn't know that, but EPA passed by and checked it, and like, no, this has asbestos. You got to destroy this place. Okay, sure. So they talked to the mayor, and they told the mayor, if you're going to destroy the school, at least leave the arches. Leave the memory of something that someone from this town built this by hand for us. The mayor said, fine. years pass, and the arch is still there. It's pretty cool picture. It's kind of like the picture of the seat that's in my town, of Luquillo, but it's like a really cool arch like that. It's really awesome. But then the mayor heard that there was a deal that you can make a hotel there. So he destroyed that thing in a second, and he tried. But then they found out that it had asbestos on the floor. So, funny how time is cyclical, because... Oh, thank you. You did see that. Here we go. Which one did you see, Steven? Did you see the whale or did you see the arches? Because they are. Funny how time's cyclical, because the mayor's doing the same thing. He took a piece of land, he destroyed it, and now he's trying to make something that probably won't work anyway, but that's not my opinion. I'm neutral in all this. People try to sway me back and forth, but neutrality is always in the middle. Now, everyone who new here, please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment down below. Steven, you're becoming the OG subscriber for the day. Keep it up. Now, when that was destroyed, by the way, here's a fun fact in my town. There were 2 funeral homes here. There were 2. Long time ago. There's always been one. Now, in the mayor's office in the 90s. Oh, you did see. Okay, here we go. As you see there is a beached whale pick in Sandy Hills. That's the first whale we found. The second whale, everyone in town pushed and helped push them back. I want to put that out there. People in our town who's never seen a whale before and knew that it was hurt, pushed it back in to save it. That's how much I love my town, to say the history of it. I want this to be documented because I don't want this never to be disappeared again. Time is a fickle bitch. Now, at the funeral home, during the mayor's time, the mayor's office would be the history of all the mayors. You would see pictures of every single mayor. There was a female mayor too, first ever in the 90s, Edna. So you would go there and you see the pictures of the development of the town. Back then too, there used to be these giant posters where they would have little caricatures and pictures of big-headed people of the town. Like, here's a place where you get tires, and they would show you right there. Here's a place where there's bakeries. Back in the day, in the 90s, bakeries were rampant. Now they're coming back with a vengeance. But bakeries back in the day were like, how do I say this? Like beer spots. You knew that this beer was better than this beer at a certain time, and this beer tastes way better in the morning than in the nighttime. So you would just go to different spots. Awesome. What happened? The mayor, the new mayor now actually, took the history of that, took that place apart, and then made it into the office. Now, do you know where all the history of all the pictures of it is? To my understanding, and I wanted to give dramatic pause, but I don't care. To my understanding, it's in the funeral home. The only funeral home in town. It's right next to the pizza place, which is a great cash grab if you think about it, because you can get pizza while you're going to see a dead body. Best chocolate milk, best hot chocolate there ever is, and that's in the funeral home. I've been to a couple in them, so it's really sad, but that's the history. And if you want to know, anyone that's coming to Luquillo, Puerto Rico, find, and I say again, find the funeral home that's in town. Walk in, say I want to see the history of my town. Yeah, right there. It's right up there next to maybe a dead body in one of the rooms. I have dark humor, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying the music in the background. I like to enjoy myself. We're just doing this until 7:30, and then I have to do lives and anything. Any questions down below about my town, the history, crimes, deviant stuff? I remember all the freaky stuff too. Beautiful wonders. Please, I'll give you 30 seconds. If people leave, at least leave a like before you go. Thank you. I'm very poor, so I don't have good glasses. Now, what else can I say? Oh, yes. The one thing no one likes to say. The trolley. There was a trolley in my town. This trolley was red and green. This trolley right now is right next to my ancestral home. This trolley has been disserviced. Obviously, my town is putting up lights, and my town supposedly is fixing things, but they can't fix a trolley. I get mad at that. But that trolley I loved because it took you everywhere in town. And I'm not exaggerating by saying, oh, everywhere. No, it took you everywhere in town. You knew for a fact that once you got on that trolley, you're not coming back to the same spot until an hour. There is no what if. You wanted to see the whole town. You wanted to shoot the shit. You got on a trolley in the plaza, where, by the way, people who have passed by Luquillo notice that there's a plaza and there's a little thing that you can sit down. That's where you picked up. That's where you got picked up in the trolley. It took you to Mataplatanos, Casablanca, Buenavista, all the way up to the borderline of los kioscos, not kioscos, the borderline of the Yunque. Bring it back down. You saw things that you never seen before. You would literally take pictures in mountains, and the guy would be awesome, putting on his music just. But once it broke once, no money for that. And then once it broke twice, no more money for that. So I please tell everyone that's watching, please leave your comment below. Hashtag fix the trolley. And put that out there, because it's getting bad that I love my town. I'm 40, and I probably will never be on a trolley again and never see my town. My son has never been on a trolley. That really pisses me off internally, that my son, who's growing up in the same town that I grew up, is never going to be or have the same experience and same joy of having the wind go through your hair and seeing the mountainsides, seeing all these people saying, hey, and just passing by. Also, it was beneficial to the old people, because people would get picked up. I got to go get my medications. I know the trolley's passing by here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's go. Simple as that. Think about that, Mayor. There was a town hall meeting. Hope someone talked about that. Now, in La Pared, it wasn't like that before, Steven, if you were still watching. It wasn't metal. It was all just hard rock. Mind you, the beach was not as close as it was before. So imagine about 20 feet more. That's how much the beach was. It was beautiful. People used to sit there. I used to sleep there when I was homeless. Right under that tree. And you know where that is, Steven? Right where the entrance of La Pared is, where the little stairs are. And then you get off, and then you can walk over the giant rock. I used to sleep right there. It was crazy. Here in my town, history of homophobia is there too. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm talking about the good things in my town. I'm going to talk about the beautiful things, but the history behind it too. If people remember the reason that there is no fiesta típico in my town, reason being is that the mayor, allegedly, supposedly, had a deal with both gangs. 1 second. Had a deal with both gangs. He also told them, look, you guys can hang out in the plaza. You guys can do whatever the hell you want to do. No killing, no shooting, no fights. And between 94 and 96, it was really rampant. Really, really crazy. One fiesta típica, which is, no, sorry, plato típico. Oh, give me a second. We need to go get some signatures to fix it. I'm trying, but my mayor doesn't care. Thank you, Kane to the Store. Check him out tonight on Twitter at Rican Reactions at 11:30. The finale of Hyperdrive. We also got one from Steven. I never heard of people vacationing to Puerto Rico in the 90s. Was it a thing that I could have just been out of touch? I'm just from a small town myself. Trolley sounds cool. All I see is the party buses. Yeah. And the trolley was free. You never had to pay anything. The town would pay for it. So you just come in and have some fun. And really just, it was really beautiful. Excuse me. We got another comment here. Give me a second. No, the same one. My apologies. Give me a second. I love the classical music. It's really going. Oh, thank you, Mr. Kane. Power of the people. True. We are doing it. People that are moving in are trying to fix the thing, and locals are getting mad at that. I'm not even going to get on the prices. But let's keep going. Now, during one Pacific, plato típico, it's not fiesta típica, it's plato típico. It's typical plates where everyone used to bring, everyone from the towns and other towns used to come into your plaza and say, my food's better than yours. My dish is better than yours. My drinks are better than yours. So everyone would come in and like, oh, this is, and it was, the food and the grease was so awesome. Even the plaza used to be a guy called Come Coco, the coconut eater, that he would get a coconut, an old one, and with his teeth, and I crap you not, rip it off until it was just down to the nut. He would get $5 for that. $5 if you did it. So I'll give you $5, I'll do it. Bum, 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 bum. Shout out to Ben Nabe, the mayor's brother. That's another story that I don't want to, that's too depressive. I might lose people if I talk about that. But during that particular night that I was there, Gang A and Gang B were hanging out around each other. One person from gang A said something that pissed off gang B, which then they start shooting right there. And I don't mean right there, like right next to you. Imagine you right now, all the 8 people that are watching, that are leaving those likes and leaving those comments. Thank you. Imagine you're right there. And imagine 35 feet away from you, to the right of you, is a police station. And you're looking at 35 feet away from you, 2 gangs shooting at each other with automatics and tricked out automatics. And the police are like, so it was a debacle. People got killed, people got hurt. After that, the mayor said no more plato típico. So every other town, there's 78 towns in our island. We're one of 78 that does never and will never have plato típico. That's a shame that no one knows. That's a history that no one wants to remember, but that's the history of our town and how it happens. And I want to put that out there. Now, since we've passed the 90s of corruption, and I've told you why River Edge was made and why River Edge was constructed, the houses to the left of River Edge, that's all by a brick wall, that if you drove by there on your left, you see a nice brown brick wall that you could climb if you had the chance. Anyone that's watching knows that. That was sold because the mayor got a deal from a company and said, we need that piece of land. The same thing that's happening now with the Humedal happened then, but the mayor just like slid it under the rug and he sold it. Hardly anyone lives in there. Hardly anyone lives there. And there's about 100 houses in there, and maybe 20 people live there. The mayor, I know he has the biggest house. When he was trying to re-elect, he was there. So that's the history of that. Food. Let's talk about food here. There have been, before now, between the 90s and now, 6 or 7 breakfast places. Mom and pops, come up, come down. A bunch of bars. The Sandbar was in the early 2000s, well, mid to late 2000s. That was a bar right next to Flamboyant. And if anyone's passed by the Flamboyant, which is right next to Subway and, you know, the Playa Azul condos, right there, right specifically there, across the street from the Flambo, that was the Sandbar, which I'm going to explain what happens, it became a Mexican restaurant. After that Mexican restaurant, give me a second. And after that, it became a dentistry, and now it's a dentist place. But before, the Sandbar used to be the coolest place to go. Why? Give me a second. You know what? Before I get to the Sandbar, I'll ask this question. Do they have any haunted houses in Luquillo? It's Luquillo. Luquillo. Not Loquito. Love you, H-A-H. Yes. At the end of Playa Azul, or Blue Beach, there's a road. There's a house all the way at the end. There's a 2-story house, about 5 or 6 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, really beautiful, but it's abandoned. That's abandoned because of murders. That has nothing to do of mystery. But in that same place in the beach, there's a place called Gayland. Now, I'm not going to call it what they call it officially. I'm just going to call it Gayland. Okay? That place was known for cruising, hotspots, hookups, and all that stuff. But at the same time, it was very creepy and spooky because sometimes when you're there, you would hear whispers and you would hear moans. But then you will notice, like, is it people having sex or is it having ghosts? Because there were houses in that area. There are houses that are abandoned and destroyed by nature. Stairs and rooms and it's just really, really scary. I haven't been there in years. I probably never go in there. And it's a beautiful spot, mind you. The water is so low that you can walk at least 200 feet forward. And you can just stand and if these are your knees, the water will get up to here. So you're walking 200 feet forward to up to here. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The water is clear. Check out the people that I love so much. Spirit Adventures abandoned because of murders. Well, yeah, but guess what? Someone's fixing it. You still tell them, but after like a decade it passes, no one cares. We'll get to the part with the guy, the shark that ate the guy. We'll get to that too. I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you, Spirit Adventures. Check them out right here, Spirit Adventures on YouTube. They are badass people. They talk about alcohol, wine, spirits, and they can help you fix a car. Check that out. Now, Sandbar. Let's get to that real quick. Now, Sandbar was awesome because Sandbar was 50 cents to $1 cheaper than Flamboyant. Flamboyant has a good bar with pool table, and they had pool tables, and they had fast food types of food. Sandbar had beer, reggae, and drug dealers. Two different things. But then one guy got killed there. You know, and then another guy got killed there. We'll put it under the rug. But then after two people got murdered in almost a massacre, I say almost a massacre, because by the time he was going to shoot some more, cops passed by. Mind you, again, the road that's where the Sandbar is on the same road to where the police station is. That's it. So the police station just got to go straight and then left and then gun it. But they can still get away. Many people, of course, they give you the love, Spirit Adventures. Always. Always give you the love, man. Still hoping one day you give me more of that Whistler Beekeeper Select. I can't get it over here. I can't get it at all. So if you can send us some more, I love you. I'm still trying to send you some stuff too. Now, I was there during one of the, deceased. And it was sad. That is where I saw one of the most wonderfulest people I've ever met, Mr. Bernabe, which was the mayor's brother. The story of him is sad because his family has a history of cancer, right? And don't you tease me, Art. Don't you tease me. Now, he found out he had cancer, Bernabe, so he would just drink and drink and drink and drink. And by emphasis on drinking, he would buy caneca. A caneca is a little bottle of alcohol like this. You buy this at liquor stores. Hobos or alkies buy this. A fifth. He does this, and in a spiral motion, that thing would go down in less than 5 to 6 seconds. No exaggeration, no nothing. Because remember, memory is hardwired in your brain if it's trauma or wonder. No matter how old you are, you will always remember something traumatic or something wonderful. And that was traumatic and wonderful. I'm a recovering alky myself. So I know when it is to see someone, I'm like... But that was when I was bad. Now I can have a drink and I'm okay because I understand the purpose of my life now. That's a whole different story. Now, I also saw him punch a telephone booth. Now, I'm not talking about the telephone booth from Superman. No. I'm talking about the one that's square like this. That's metal, that has the sign of the telephone, like that has little holes. If anyone's down below has ever seen a telephone booth with the holes on the side and the shape of a telephone, give me a thumbs up down below. And in one story, his family would give him food every day. Nice little Tupperware bowl of chicken, rice, potatoes, because he loved it. That was from his family. So he set it next to him. Some of the drug dealers took it and hid it. He turned around and it was gone. So he growls. He growls. Yes, they are metal or steel. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm like pretty sure, they're about that thick. So this is a box of matches, right? So they're about that thick. A little bit thinner. A little bit thinner. So when they took his food, he growls, "Where's my food? Where's my food? I want my food now." And everyone's laughing. Oh, you didn't bring any food. They're trying to gaslight him to think that he didn't have any food. He punches. And let's say this is the thing, right? So this is the side of it. He punches it, and it actually dents. It dents. Mind you, this guy had a fist of a baseball glove. He had the size of a baseball glove for hands, and he was a carpenter. Imagine that, big hands, and he was a carpenter. He loved that stuff. Thank you, Kane. But he had to stop because of cancer because he got old. So when he punched it, and there was music playing. There was people outside smoking cigarettes. Everyone's having fun. Everyone stopped dead in their tracks and stopped. I just got to this live and reading the comments. There's actually a haunted house in Luquillo. Yes. Dead sec. when you're done watching this, when this is done, go back, hit that like first, and then yes, it's in Gayland, Patolandia. That's why I don't like saying it in Spanish because it sounds bad. It's at the end, and when you go inside, there actually is a house in there that the stairs are still there. Era una casa de un piso. It was a house of like that had blocks on it, and it was like this, and it had it has stairs, and it has like a room. It's still there. People tell me it's still there. And Mr. Autocorrect here, hunted. No, no one hunted the houses. Haunted. Yes, haunted. LOL. Now, oh yes, the left one. Here you go. Damn. Yes. This is a really nice, chill, classical vibe. I like this. There's one near my house. A man died when his house burned down. Oh, there's a lot of stuff like that. I can talk about that. We'll get to that history. I'm gonna talk about the shark and the guy right now. Now, there's a history of our town. In my town, we're a beach town. DedSec leader knows this. Steven knows this. Anyone that's come to my town knows this. Now, there are sharks here in my town. Let's be real. There's jellyfish, but you really don't really see a lot of jellyfish or even stingray. You see dolphins, whales, obviously. Now, back in the 90s, early 2000s, a surfer was near the ends of Playa Azul, where the condominiums are, where Gayland is. And he was surfing because sometimes the surfing in Playa Azul shifts in the morning. So sometimes there's big waves there, and then it'll shift, and it'll take you to certain other places. He got around there, and then a shark came out of nowhere and bit him. Now, I'm not doing this like he didn't know. He actually bit him. They couldn't find the body. They found the surfboard. The surfboard's like a standard surfboard like this, like a tall one, and then half this part was cut. I got better visual aids. Sorry. Hit that like, by the way, if you're enjoying this. So they went on a search. We do have every town has emergency services. We have our services for cutting grass. We have services for emergency. Every town does that. So they called emergency services. They called the cops. It was not a local. It was a tourist. So everyone was really scared. It was the 90s. Like, oh my God, no, oh my God. 3 days, they didn't find him. On the day that they stopped and said, well, he's probably stuck in a sand pocket, which is a nice, not a nice, but a fact that people don't know. In my town, there's sand vortexes inside the water where you can be right here for a second, and if you get stuck with the sand vortex, it sucks you down. And then you're stuck there for days. And then when the sand shifts, it pops you back out. That's what happened. The shark took a bite and a bunch of bites out of him, but then the sand vortex sucked them down. 4 days later, 3 days in the day that they gave up, they found him. They found him with all this gone, like a big ass bite, a leg was gone, everything. They did services. Now, what most people don't know, that when you go to Luquillo, DedSec, you know this too, there's a statue in La Pared. There's a big metal statue, all abstract, very modern. Now, there still is an emblem in the bottom, but it's so messed up by sand and by rust, you can barely see it. But that, for example, is about a monument to the guy with the shark. And a monument to say, watch out for sharks. Mind you, a couple other people got bit over the years with sharks, and they've actually been killed. A couple people in my town have drowned, tourists and locals alike, because of sand vortexes. And it's scary, and there have been jellyfishes, and there have been stingrays, and it's really crazy. Another fun fact, fun for me, not crazy for others. Where Costa Azul is, my town is very funny. One beach turns into another beach, turning into another beach by name and by structure alone. You're in La Pared, you're in the wall. When the wall's done, you're in Costa Azul. Costa Azul at the end, where if anyone grew up in the 90s here in Puerto Rico, in my town, at the end of Costa Azul is where the DA used to live, and it was the sex beach, ironically. People used to go in there, teenagers and adults alike, park their car, go inside that little river creek. Oh, look at that little river creek. That river creek back in the day used to be the sewage creek, and then they stopped. So now it's a river creek. That river creek, if you walk in, becomes a sex spot. But that's how it is. Yes, Spirit Adventures. That's why I always tell you, stay near the water. Don't be all acting crazy. Thank you. So, right there's a coral reef, and I have literally, no bullcrap, sincerely walked on that coral reef about a half a mile into the water, never falling down. I got stuck. I got stuck with those sea animals that are like a black ball that has spikes everywhere, and it sticks to your. It takes forever to get them out. I've got a fish there, but because of the coral reef and the degradation of the sea, it's gone. But it used to be that you could walk. People, the old fishermen here used to walk here and just fish. Speaking of fishermen here used to get hundreds and hundreds of fish a day, just off the coast of my town. Just pull it in, pull it in. Now, because again, sand degradation, they can't do that anymore. Of course, man. Speaking of it, hey, Beekeeper Select. Have the drop and catch flight, but we'll circle back to hear the rest of your history. Thanks for the sharing. Hopefully, you'll get your ears popped. Be safe. Mask up. Get those nuts, which is peanuts, Kiki. Now, with all that being said, this is a part 3. Part 4 is coming every other day. I'm gonna say one more story before I go because I gotta get ready to relax during the day. And this was a long history. One more history in my life. I want to say this real quick. Where the town of the Plaza in Luquillo, where the mayor's office is, where the police station is, where the post office is, where there is a monument. There is a monument for every war in our town. There's a monument for Vietnam, where there's a giant cannon. There's a monument of a nice little fountain that's right next to the light across the street from Wendy's. That's for the Persian Gulf. There's a monument for everything. I want to give thanks, proper thanks to that. Thank you for your service. I'm a veteran myself, so thank you. But across the street from the mayor's office, that used to be the only movie theater in our town. It was a small movie theater. Seats 30, 35, 40, 50 at best. But it was a movie theater for us. It only lasted through the 80s and 90s and got shut down. Then the bottom part became a bakery, and that bakery was awesome. Best bakery I've ever had in my life. But then, like most bakery in the 90s, they didn't really care about FDA approvals. So that A rating turned into like a minus FF rating. So it's kind of messed up. Got another comment here. Thank you for your service, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I don't know, man. I just get mad. Oh, sorry about that. And here we go. Then, and it was messed up when you try to get when you realize something's wrong, when the cakes that used to be $1 are now 25 cents for 2. You're like, but then you see that roach walking, and you're like, oh, you dirty. So they closed it. They tried the bakery again. That bakery transferred to the left across the street from the mayor's office. That bakery turned into now Simple Foods, which is a good place. They have a truck as well. That's why I say now I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop at this history right now between mid 2000 to 2010s. Next time I do this, we're gonna talk about the late 2010s, when the FBI raids came, when the drug wars started happening, when bodies started getting burnt, when friends of mine I would see on a Saturday would be dead on a Sunday. And I will talk about that and some secrets as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying this live. Thank you for the 7 people that's watching. Hit that like. Leave your names down below and tell them that you are here for the history and time. I know one person's leaving because they're getting bored. I'm getting bored myself. Kiki, everybody, remember, stay healthy, stay happy. The history is truth, and the history is life.